There we go. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It might.
Uh,
I don't know. That might have been on my line. I don't know. I just know I started hearing myself like it was a replay.
yeah, I was trying to screen record. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can screen record it on my other phone, man. This phone's tripping, man. But anyway,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
It says it's
But
recording right now.
okay, cool. As long as it's recording. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
So what I was saying, man, was yes, history repeats itself. Remember, President Wilson at the time said he wasn't going to get involved with the war. Then he went back and wound up getting involved with the war, and um, and tried to institute segregation during the war. I'm sorry, did I say civil? I hope I didn't say Civil War. I meant World War I. Then he
No,
started.
no, no, no. You said World War I. You
World
said
War
it.
One. Okay, yeah. So and then he wound up getting involved into it. It's the same thing it's the same thing that's happening now. You know, the U.S. right now they're saying, listen, we're not going to get involved with it. We have no plans. This is what they're telling them. This is what they're using the media to tell us. It's just propaganda. We're not going to do
Mm.
this. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the U.S. got their foot somewhere inside of there. So, and even at the time, you still. Yes, indeed. And still, even at the time, you had blacks that was living in France. You had blacks that was living in Germany, and in all actuality, there was folks who was leading protests in Germany. Black folks, black groups that was leading protests in Germany. They wanted out, but
Mm.
the Germans exterminated them. They wiped them out. It's not one black that led in that was in those protests that is alive to tell their story. They killed every last one of them.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the times when
Yeah.
they tell the story about, yo, you know what? Hitler killed all of, 6 million Jews. Yeah, he killed about 3 million blacks there as well. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Speak, my brother. Speak.
Yeah. So then you see the same thing happening now. You got blacks who's in Ukraine and all that, and they want out. They want out. But my heart goes out to them. You know what I'm saying? As far as I understand some of them from what I'm hearing that some of them are there to go to school. Um, some of them are there for different reasons, various reasons. None of them not really from any other continent. They from the native born Africa, right? So
Yep.
you don't really hear too much about an African American or African Caribbean or an Australian over there having struggles because they would have
Mm.
it would have been a little bit different, right? But yeah, man. So it's history repeats itself, and my heart goes out to them. You know what I'm saying? I wish they were not in that situation. But again, history repeats itself. Even when you take a look at what happened here in America with the first Great Migration in the 1910s, right? 1910s, the first migration, where blacks was trying to leave. When they were leaving the South to go north, there was what? There was whites there at the train as cops.
Mm.
Cops, you know what I'm saying? Cops along with the civilians throwing people off the train, grabbing them and y'all not leaving them. You're not leaving. You know what I'm saying? So it repeats itself. And I just think that it's sad. Um, it's sad in a way that as black people, no matter where you're from, we find ourselves in the same predicament because we refuse to band together and create our own nation. You know what I'm saying? People, native born Africans still want to go by tribes, and so that shuts other people out. You understand? If you
Facts.
and then you got the Afro Caribbeans, they want to go by. Listen, I'm Jamaican. I'm not of African descent. I'm not black. I'm Jamaican. Like they'll fight you. I'm West Indian. I'm West Indian. I'm not black, and they'll fight you too for now for that. So that pretty much shuts us out. It shuts everybody out. So you can't really
Mm.
get any help. And then when you take a look at it, again, where history repeats itself, every time black folks, no matter where, we've been in trouble, big time trouble. We've had no friends from any other country that said, listen, we're coming over to give you guys some relief. It's never been that. Never been that. Never been that. Right? And ever since the Haitian Revolution, it definitely wouldn't be that. It's definitely, so that's out the window. We would never have another nation coming to help us. So it's just it's sad that we find ourselves in the same situation where we're trapped on somebody else's land, can't get out. The same thing happened when the COVID had first jumped off over there in Asia. I know it jumped off in Europe first. I'm not surprised because the way that they live. You know what I'm saying? These people are savages. But over in Asia, when it jumped off over there, I'm looking at it. I'm saying, well, you had blacks that was there.
Wait, can you hear me now? I don't know what's going on with this.
Yeah, my fault, bro. Dang, I think my train turned off again. You can hear me, bro? I think the mic then went off again, brother. As soon as I said COVID-19, brother.
Oh, yeah, no, no, you good, you good.
Right.
I'm just learning this sort of space. I don't want to be making a lot of noise in the background because
good.
I don't want to be leaving my comments because you hitting a lot of points.
Yeah.
I'm trying to type what you're saying down in some notes so I can kind of like, man, you hitting some great points. But go ahead, man.
Yes,
Go ahead.
indeed. So yeah, man. So you see that situation there. We just find ourselves prisoner again on other folks' land, other races, other ethnic groups, other tribes. You find ourselves on their land again, begging. Right? We're trying to get out. We want to leave. So history seems to repeat itself, man, over and over. And it's at what point do black folks begin to get it? Now, as far as I think what was the second question again?
The second question was, I like your answer on the first question, how you was talking about how history repeats itself with the war, and you kind of went back to World War I. So that was fire. And the second question is, how do you feel about the Biden administration when it comes to us?
Oh, yes. Okay, great. I think as black folks, we get this confused. We get this idea that we gotta pick. We have to pick one or the other, right? The Biden administration, I think they're a bunch of crabs, man. They are a bunch of crabs. The whole Democrat, you feel me? And I guess I'm kind of answering the third question a little early, but I'm neither Republican or Democrat. I'm not running with either. I don't trust either of them. But with the Biden administration, they're basically it's like pick your poison, right? Both of them are going to kill you. Republicans are going to kill you. The Democrats are going to kill you. It's just that one is going to kill you with more style, and the other one has no style. The Democrats don't have any style, right? They have absolutely no problem. When you take a look at between Joe Biden and his crime bill in the early 90s and Kamala Harris and her locking up thousands of black men in the 90s, between the two, they've locked up more black men in history than we've ever seen before, ever. I'm talking about from BC days to AD days. We haven't seen as many black men suffer at the hands of injustice and slavery through a second name, I guess, if you want to say, a slavery by another name, like the book says. We see this over and over, man. I remember looking at a collage that Kamala Harris made. Not Kamala Harris made. Someone made of Kamala Harris. And if you look closely, it's a bunch of black men that she locked up. They made a collage out of her face, out of all the black men that she locked up. I said, yo, that's crazy, yo. And I mean, like, she's harsh. Again, but with this crime bill being passed, she was able to do that. You see what I'm saying? So that's definitely one situation that's it bothers me a lot, because you got a lot of brothers in jail that really don't need to be there. I understand. You if you commit a heinous crime, right, and it's consciously done. You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it. It's consciously. You have to be punished for that. Rape of a child, molestation, pedophile, yes, but when you're being arrested for weed, selling crack, selling coke, for when you're being arrested for jumping a turnstile on the trains, or indecent exposure, or um, uh, carrying an unconcealed weapon, all of that. When you're being arrested for these things, I think we have to begin to say, how can we combat that? I wouldn't say we. They need to look at it like, how can they combat that, right? Because if brothers out here, black people, have shown, when you leave us alone, leave us alone, leave us alone for 52 years and watch what we do. We're gonna build. We had to be taught. They had to literally put a gun in our hand and say, shoot. You see that nigga over there? Shoot him. And we like, I can't do it. And they're like, shoot. We had to be taught this. You know what I'm saying? We had to be taught how to use coke. Like, we was taught, this is how you do it. This is how you okay, from the cocaine, this is how you extract it from the plant, so that now it becomes a drug. Soon as you extract it, it becomes a drug. So it's like, this is how you do it. They taught us. We didn't. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that we didn't know what to do. If you want to talk about ancient days, absolutely. Dr. Sebi showed that. I mean, nobody taught him how to do it. He knew how to separate these things, but he didn't use it in those aspects. So you have these situations, man, where they put us in these predicaments and they come back and criminalize us for it. And this is the Democrats, right? The Republicans do the same thing, but they're going to do it with style. They got a scheme, they got a plan. They want to kind of psych you out a little bit. They want to lead you on, make you believe they may it may pass one or two laws that benefits the colored people, and they may try, so that way, yeah, you're kind of included in it, but they may try to almost give you what you want. Not too much though. But with the Democrats, they'll go out and say, hey, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So then you got all these black folks. Yeah, and then you got all these chicken finger licking blacks that will go out there and be like, yeah, because I gotta prove to the dominant society that I am black, right? And I'm gonna go out and vote because my mother told me they died for me to vote, right? And so we go out with these concepts. And these concepts, it really it helps up to a certain point. You see, voting got us to a certain point, but they never put us on to the economic policies that they should have passed. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times, we didn't really want so much of segregation. That was just one group. That was civil rights. They wanted to be unsegregated, or they wanted to be able to sit at the lunch. That wasn't the majority. The majority of blacks was like, we don't want to be around these folks. Like, we don't want to be around them, especially those blacks who moved to the north and who moved to the west. It was like, yo, we been around them. These people are savages. They'll lynch you and then cut you into pieces and eat your flesh. These people, we don't want to be around that. That was Martin Luther King and all of them, and who was like, well, and they compromised a lot. The Democrats saw that, and they said, yo, shoot, if we can just pass this, we passed the civil rights, we can get these black folks voting for us for another 50 or 80 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it was. And they got us doing it. So they got our parents, and like my parents included, they got our parents believing in that same dream that if we just vote vote Democrat, and things are going to be all right because the Democrats are for the blacks. They're not. The Democrats are not for the blacks. The Republicans are not for the blacks. And these people who pose themselves as black conservatives, I asked the same question that Dr. Claude Anderson asked, which is, what are you trying to conserve? Plantation, what are you
Mm.
trying to conserve, right? When it comes to America, we have no rights. It's the bill has not been undone. I mean, a document has not been undone, which the judge said, "Yo, a black man have no rules that a white man is bound to respect." That has not been undone.
Yes.
It's still showing. So when you see people like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, these are crabs. They phony. We can see the phoniness a lot more with Joe Biden. Kamala Harris she caught the emotions of the females. She has females believing this is black girl magic. You know what I'm saying? That's what she has, and it's a bad situation, bro. Simply because this woman, she about 10 years ago, she claimed to be one of the first West Indians to be on on a lawyer's board, and now all of a sudden she's an African
She's a sister girl now, my brother.
American. Oh, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Hey,
So I look at it like in a sense where they're both of them are poison, bro. If you ask me, every party is poison.
mm,
They have all of them. They have no interest to do anything that would benefit black folks. Period. There's no interest there. Look at it, bro. The Asians, when they came over here in the during that whole immigration thing, when they came over here in the early 1800s, we welcomed them in. And then
mm.
when they came in again after World War II, we welcomed the Black Panthers welcomed them in. We gave them food at our dinner table. We stopped saying the Black Panthers stopped going for black, and they started saying brown, yellow, all of that stuff. Yeah, they did. When you listen or read about Fred Hampton, you watch his words. Fred Hampton was a black people at first, black, and then when they came over, he welcomed them. And he said, black power to black people, yellow power to yellow people, white power to white people. He was trying to gather, right? When he was trying to gather the gang lords and all of them, he was trying to gather folks. So when you take a look at that, bro, we welcome them. And then look at them now. They don't welcome us. They despise us. They got actually, and I think that they probably have a greater superiority complex than what the white folks do. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to black folks, but these folks, they don't welcome us, and they was able to have some crime bill passed for them, hate crime. I'm sorry, passed for them, and they never turned around and said, "Hey, what about these black folks? Right? What about these black folks that helped my granddaughter out when she came over here?" They didn't do
Yes.
that. They didn't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? The same thing with the Latinos. We welcomed them when they came over here. The Spanish and all that, we welcome them. We let them sit at our table. We let them be a part of our meetings. And you look at them now, they turn around and say, "Yo, y'all living in the past. That's all in the past." They say that because they have no past, right? They don't even know what their past is. So they tell us, "Yo, you don't stop living in the past," because they figure they're getting biscuits and dimey dogs from their white masters. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely that issue, bro. So yeah, the Democrats have no problem with looking out for anybody else except black to toss it up in our face. And they're basically telling us we have no interest in you. Kamala Harris said it clearly. I'm not only going to do something for black folks. That's what she said. That's what she said now. I didn't read that. I heard it. She said, I'm not only going to do something for black folks. She said, I'm not.
Yeah,
So
she said that. You're right. Facts.
yeah. Yeah, so if she has no, but then we're talking about this is black girl magic, but she's not going to do nothing for black folks. Then what's her interest? What if she, you know what I'm saying? So who's the real conservative? Yo, bro. So that's when it comes down. That's what it comes down to. They're a bunch of crabs. They have no interest in doing anything that's going to benefit black folks. In fact, they want to see other races get ahead of black folks, and they're passing immigration laws, things like that, and different policies to make sure that we don't get ahead if we're going to go through the office. If we're going to go through them, Congress and everything, they're making sure we're going to make it a living hell. But they're also giving us symbolic symbols by saying we're going to hire some black folks. But look at who they're hiring, right? They're hiring black females. I want to see them hire a masculine black man. Like a masculine black man, not black man he's clean cut and he's got his tie on. A masculine black man who seems threatening when you look at him like, man, he look like he ain't no joke. Hire someone like that. And then I want to see, you know what I'm saying? Hire someone like a Jawanza Kunjufu. I want to see them hire someone like that. You know they wouldn't hire Farrakhan, but I'd love to see them do that. I bet you they wouldn't do that. But hire Farrakhan, hire Jawanza Kunjufu, some masculine black men. They're a little older. They are elders. They're not going to do that though. But if they hire them, it's going to be a problem because they know this is going to be, those people are going to be for the interests of black folks, and they're not going to compromise. Farrakhan is not going to compromise. He showed that. Jawanza Kunjufu is not going to compromise. The other black leaders are not going to compromise. So they want to hire the female, put them next to the white man, and that's the imagery they want. So when young girls look at that and they say, hey, this is what the president, and he's got these black women around him. So these young white kids think they're going to be able to spit some game on our sisters. So the imagery is going to be tied into that as well, brother. So I'm sorry for the delayed answer, but but that's where I'm at with that, bro.
Man, you talking about hot fire? My brother, hot fire, man. Shout out to my brother Key Mario in the building right now. That's like my little brother, man. We go way back like 4 flats on the Cadillac, and I'm proud of him because he always has his own perspective, and he gets a chance to kind of game me up on things that he sees that I may not see as an elder statesman. You know what I mean? So he always would game me up on shit and see, we worked at the corporate plantation together, and it was what I liked about this brother, and I like about a lot of the young brothers now. He's not a smiley nigga. Like, he's not one of those type of brothers where he just smiling with everybody. I loved it. When you just said, why don't they hire somebody that's masculine? Let me tell you something. I remember when I was working with this brother, man, my young brother, man, he made me proud a lot of the times because he never smiled with motherfuckers. He just never smiled. And when I mean smile, my brother, I mean like he would only really talk to me. He wouldn't really talk to nobody else. And I used to laugh because people would come to me and man, he's quiet. Well, what you want him to put on a clown suit and a clown nose and some shoes and get the buck dancing? See, that's what they wanted out of him. And they didn't really want him being like that because I was already kind of that way. You know what I mean? So I feel like that is intimidating in its own right when you're not smiling and joking and bucking your eyes and buck dancing and doing all this Sambo ass behavior. And that's the image that we should possess when we're dealing with the dominant society. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the times when we're dealing with them, we want to buck our eyes and like, look at what's going on right now, even with Ukraine and all that. The reason why I asked you, how did you feel about the Biden administration? Because that Ukraine and Russia and all that, that's a distraction. They're going to do what they're going to do anyway. I'm looking at the hidden hand, the Biden administration, the people who signed that hate crime for the Asians, but y'all didn't even want to prosecute Emmett Till's supposed accuser who lied. Y'all don't even want to look at how they did Ahmaud Arbery's family. I spoke about that on the podcast. And just look at how the mother was not smiling and talking about we shall overcome someday. She put the DOJ on blast and told them straight out, I didn't appreciate y'all lying and getting in there and trying to settle. See, that's what we need. We don't need people up there buck dancing and wanting to sing because the dominant society is paying us attention. I feel like we don't have intrinsic value in ourselves. That's one. So since we don't have intrinsic value in ourselves, we love it when the dominant society as a whole or any other racial group gives us just a little bit of attention because we feel better about ourselves. What about the attention that we need to give each other? Have you ever thought about that? Why is it when somebody has something nice, we just can't say, man, remember I told you before, I saw a dude, he was rolling in a fresh ass truck. And I said, hey, man, that's a fresh ass truck. He didn't even know how to take it because in his mind, he's been socialized. Is this nigga trying to rob me? Is this nigga on some weird shit? Why would you tell me that? Because we don't want to compliment each other. We are always in competition. We don't have intrinsic value in each other. And the reason why I bring up the Biden administration too is because that's 94 Crime Bill Joe. That's the 94 crime bill. He's the architect behind that crime bill who put over 500,000 people, which are black, probably predominantly foundational black Americans, in the prison system. And then when you question him about it, like you said, my brother, what did he say? If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Remember when Charlemagne pressed him about the 94 crime bill? On black folk. Well, you guys wanted it. So do you think a person would get away with asking a white Jewish person, hey man, so what's up with that Hitler stuff? And then then a person says, well, you Jewish people wanted it. They would be denounced, silenced, they'd be ran out of this country. But only in the United States of America Incorporated, a person can say, well, you guys wanted it. Stop. These are the distractions and the imageries that I'm talking about and what they put out there. I feel like a lot of the times they put out, again, a lot of fake news. They put out a lot of propaganda, and it's a distraction. They want to talk about the war. Let's talk about Lakeith Stanfield. Did y'all see that picture where this nigga got on a dress and makeup and all in high heels? Now, what the hell is that? Because that's the imagery that they want to push, which goes to your point. They don't want a masculine man out there like Khalid Muhammad or Brother Nuri Muhammad or Brother Tony Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want, and no diss to Tyler Perry, they want Medea out there talking. That's what they want. When they think of black men, they want everybody to fit into that criteria of Medea, a buck dancing, joke telling mammy. That's what they want. And no diss, because it is funny to look at, but when you look at it within the context of who we are, that's funny to them. You know why? I went and watched the last Boo. I think it was the second one. I went in a big theater and watched it at Town Square in Las Vegas, Nevada. Man, it tripped me out how so many other racial groups was in there. It was a lot of us in there, but it was a bunch of other racial. You know why? Because that character is non-threatening. That's why. You notice everybody now, when they talk about Black History Month, they're going to always bring up MLK. Nobody talks about the government and how the FBI, your boy J. Edgar Hoover, was the architect behind killing him, Malcolm X, and Fred Hampton, and dismantling the Black Panther Party. Nobody talks about that. But they yet still have J. Edgar Hoover's name on that building. They removed Bill Cosby from the college that he donated $50 or $40 million to. Soon as he got into this fake news propaganda with these women who pretending that they got raped. Because my question is, if I get raped, why would I go back for more? But you went back for more. So then after you got raped and you went back for more, you want to shut Bill Cosby down. But the college never refunded that $40 million that he gave them. But they removed his name. So you're going to remove Bill Cosby's name after he's been exonerated and been found not guilty on those charges, right? But J. Edgar Hoover is on record. The COINTELPRO files. If you read that book, The Burglary, J. Edgar Hoover's Secret FBI, I talk about it every week on my podcast. It has his sayings and thought process and mentalities in writing how he felt about black people and what he was going to do to destroy black people. But they still got his name on the building. So this is why I mean by we need to be looking at Joe Biden. Why are we so focused on Russia and we not focused on reparations in the United States of America Incorporated? The white Jewish people got their reparations. Who else got? The Irishmen got theirs. The Asian, they got theirs. The Chinamen got theirs for completing the railroads. We already built the damn near all of the railroads if you read Slavery by Another Name, but they like finished the end part. So they gave them reparations for that and internment camps. than the Japanese for the Hiroshima bomb. But when it comes to foundational Black Americans, it's like the benign neglect takes place, shape and form, and then they practice it every chance they get. And then they'll flip it and tell us, me, you, whoever else, well, you ain't Black if you don't vote for me. So my question to anyone is, how could we then now vote for this man? And he has a history of locking up Black folk. Joe 94 crime bill Biden. That's one. And two, now this midterm elections, you want to put into power, which seems to be a mammy as the Supreme Court justice or whatever, which is going to be a female Clarence Thomas. And that's Imagery, which is a false narrative. So we can go out and say, look, see, he put a Black woman in charge. Let's vote for him again. Why is it we are still going for the okie doke is my question.
Okay. It's I mean, that's a good question, bro. But we go for the okie doke because it takes me back to what Malcolm X said when he spoke about how Black people, how we have to get politically and economically, educationally informed, how we have to grow in those areas. And just as a whole, Black folk, especially here in America, we haven't gotten to that point where, as a whole, you have pockets of brothers and sisters that have grown that can make some moves, but at the same token, we're so impressed with symbolism, man. And the only thing that they have to do is give us one symbolic award, pretty much, that's not going to benefit us, and we pretty much all calm down. See, we get emotional, and they know that. Like white supremacy, they understand. They studied us, right? So they understand and they can see, well, these folks are just going to march because that's what they have. They have their voices, and they know we love to use our voices when we have concern. They say these folks going to use their voices. They're not going to really take action because they're not unified. They don't have their own nation. They're not set up economically. They don't have their own education. So they can't. They're not going to really look to create jobs for each other. They're just going to create jobs separately. So they look at all of these areas of life that affects us, and they say, man, these folks ain't got no power in this area. So we don't have to worry about it too much longer. All right, we still got some of the old folks still around. So some of those old folks like Roland Martin and them, they're going to continue. They have a bunch of followers. They're going to continue to tell folks to vote. We're going to give them collard greens on the line after they vote, and we're going to stay in power. And we never learn from it. We just never learn, bro. We haven't, as what Claude Anderson said, we haven't suffered enough pain. Like we went through so much pain, but when blacks, and where I spoke about the Great Migration, and both Great Migrations, the first and the second era, when black folks decide that they're tired, they out. That's what we do. Like that's happened all through, like in ancient times. Now, as a whole, when black folks is like, nah, we can't take this, then they bounce and leave. But in this situation now, they got us so brainwashed. There's so much that they have trickery over us, bro. When you take a look at just imagery, entertainment, we don't have our true education in a form that's dedicated to us. And we continue to put everybody else first and put ourselves last. We put them first, they put us last. That's why we won't get, that's why we haven't gotten anywhere. We haven't learned, bro.
I think not. I'm trying not to laugh. That's why I'm laughing off the mic. Because when you saying what did Dr. Claude Anderson say? The willingness ass carries the whole load. So the person that wants to do everything, you know me, I'm gonna always bring it back to the corporate plantation because that's what it kind of reminds me of. You know, when you go to the corporate plantation, once you show them that you're a good worker, what they're gonna do? They're gonna overwork you. They're gonna put their foot on your neck. And I've been a prime example of that. And then what they do is they make black folk feel a lot of the time, just my perspective, like if you're not working harder than everybody else, you lazy. But how could we be lazy when we built the country for free?
Right.
But you see what I'm saying, my brother? But they have us thinking, oh, you lazy. And then what happens, it casts a bad perception on other black people when they come in, when they don't want to work as hard. And I'm older now, mentally wise, so I don't be expecting my people to come on these jobs and put in 1,000%. Because why? So they can stress you out and you can snap. You know, I worked with another brother, FBA brother, man. He's from Compton. My nigga name was Donnie. You know, I talk to Donnie every now and then, and Donnie was so stressed out, he fucking snapped and put hands on a motherfucker at the job because he was so stressed out about a lot of stuff, man. And we used to talk all the time. And when he used to call me, when he used to be at the job, he used to be, you know, we would talk and vent about the job. And he used to call me when he get pissed. And I remember one time he's like, man, my nigga Warren, man, thank you for answering the phone, man. Because I was about to beat the shit out of this motherfucker. And, you know, and Donnie was loco like that. And I didn't get it then. You know what I'm saying? But as I got older, mentally, I was like, oh, I see why he was kind of like that. And I was older than him. But he just felt like, he used to always tell me, like, Warren, you deal with too much with these motherfuckers, man. Like, you let them do too much, man. Fuck these motherfuckers, man. You only get one family, you get one life, you get one mom, you get, like, and then when that shit is gone, they don't care. They're going to move on and do what the fuck they want to do. You know, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing what he said, and I learned a lot about that because it's only in our culture that we got to get on the corporate plantation, or we got to go anywhere and bug dance for them. Look at Roland Martin. Look at Larry Elder. Look at all these people, man. Look at Peterson, Jesse Lee Peterson. Look at all these Sambos and Coons and Hayward Shepherds that they take pride out of doing stuff like that. It's like a badge of honor. It's like going through a trial and error for white supremacy if you buck dance and coon for them and throw your own people under the bus. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost sick. You know, like I remember I made a joke on Twitter a long time ago, and somebody like reported. I was like, these coons and Sambos need to go to Sambo rehab, and they need to watch Hidden Colors, read Dr. Claude Anderson, Black Letter White Wealth, and read the ISIS papers by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Man, them motherfuckers reported me on Twitter. I'll never forget that shit because I forgot who I was talking about that was black, but they was Samboing. And I'm like, man, this is crazy because in this world, like you said, we know that they dominate 9 areas of people activity. You know, so when we start calling it out, what trips me out, and I want you to kind of piggyback off of this, when we start calling it out, why is it black folk are so quick to take up for other racial groups? Look at the Joe Rogan shit. I mean, they wouldn't even allow him to get crucified. You know how many black celebrities was coming out talking about, man, he ain't racist. Oh, okay. So then I'm not anti-Semitic, but I can get on the mic and start saying a whole bunch of Jewish epithets. So it's like, I don't understand that. And I don't understand why the system of how they constructed it is so genius. They don't even have to really do much. All they got to do is get a couple of Sambos and Coons to do the job for them. Because Joe Rogan should have got shut down. His podcast should have got shut down. And they should have made him formally apologize. And they should have said, well, you can't do the podcast on Spotify no more. But they didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't do that. They just kind of let him give a bullshit apology. And people don't even know. Like, see, this is the thing about racism, white supremacy, and Neely Fuller Jr. talks about that. Until they prove to you they're not a white supremacist, they're suspected white supremacists. But they got to prove it to you. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of the times we so quick to take up for somebody because they cool with us. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, well, you might be cool with me, but if you display another behavior outside of me and my people in good faith come to me and tell me that, then we're going to have a conversation. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm going to entrust in my people over any other racial group, but we don't have that intrinsic value. And my question to you is too, my brother, why is it when we call out racism, white supremacy, black folk are so quick to defend racism, white supremacy? That's my question too.
But the white supremacy is the master of confusion. You know what I'm saying? They're thinking, we're thinking in terms, black folks here. We think in terms of from week to week, month to month. These folks think 40 years down the line. You know what I'm saying? They're thinking so far. I wouldn't dare say that they're so far ahead of us. Just, you know, I think we have a lot of great minds. You know, but I think that they're definitely, as a whole, yes, they're far, far ahead of us as a whole, the white race as a whole. And when you take a look at it, bro, they create the confusion, right? They would look at what we created, they take over the resources that would fund that creation, and then sell it back, that creation back to us as if they created it. Then they allow one or two Negroes to get through, so that we can say exactly, so that we and other white folks and other race groups can say they made it. So that means we all can do it, right? But those folks saying that don't understand this is all orchestrated. This was all planned. But they groomed, this was planned 40 years ahead now, because they groom these people and they say, this is going to be our perfect, this is the one we're going to pick. We're going to pick. Remember, they picked Booker T. Washington until they found out that Booker T. Washington was really about that black folk. He was really deep into the black struggle. But on the outside, you wouldn't notice it. He compromised on some things. He didn't speak out on some things. But on the low, he was funding black organizations and getting black folks hired and all of that stuff. He was he was hosting, letting his school be the host for meetings with black folks and all of that. They was able to organize, strategize. So he was on some trying to connect black folks globally, just on the low, And he said that in his book. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is they'll allow some of those people in there, hand select them, and we'll look at them and say, we all can do it. And then that sets it up, because when folks like me and you, who's on the other side of the fence, we look at it and say, nah, we're not looking at it like he let us do, we all can get it. We're looking at it like, yo, that's not fair. We deserve this. Yo, we're gonna hop over this fence and we taking over. Don't y'all all, when we try to bring awareness to other folks, they gonna say, don't y'all all see that? Y'all don't see that? And they say, look, see what? You know what I'm saying? We don't see what you see. You know what I'm saying? Because they have already created the confusion. Y'all stop making excuses. That's in the past. Y'all can't keep living in the past. He let them look. What are you talking about? Poverty? Y'all can make it. Look at them. Look at the Oprah. Look at LeBron. The first person they always want to point to is Oprah. Look at Oprah, and then they want to go to LeBron. You know, look at Oprah. Look at LeBron. Right? And that's stuff. And then that creates that confusion, because then we begin, you know, while we're trying to make everybody else aware who have become robots, we're trying to make them aware and snatch them from out of the matrix. They're saying, listen, we don't want to be, we like it here. We don't see it that way. There's no such thing as white supremacy. We all can get ahead. It's all about colored folks. And they start spewing out all of these rhetoric that they hear other folks say. And not understanding what they're really saying and what they're really doing. They're not life-threatening. And at the same time, with them doing that, with white supremacy creating this confusion of this new Negro, this new black Negro, they created that confusion. Not only that, they're getting the masculine black men to step out of their pants, like what Dr. Cress Wilson said, step out of their pants into a skirt. So the imagery and everything is there. So not only do we look at it and say, well, the masses will look at it and say, well, we all can get this. This dream was for all of us, not just blacks, But for all, now we involve everybody and that dilutes everything. Not only
Yes.
that, there's no black men who's going to stand strong enough and say, yo, we not with that, because either they're threatened by imagery or they're threatened by their economics. They're going to be sued. I mean, not sued. They're going to be fined. They're going to be taken off these labels. They're going to have these companies reduce their pay, things like that. So they're not going to really try to show us the way to power. So it's going to make people like you and I look like we're crazies. And remember, always in a rebellion, you have folks who was ready to rebel, but you had that one person who was like, I don't care if I live or die. It's about getting free. It's about liberation. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? You seen that in the Stono Rebellion. You seen that with Denmark VC, with Nat Turner. Like, there was other dudes in Nat Turner group that was like, yo, we with it. Let's go and ride. Let's ride right now. And Nat Turner had to turn them down like, yo, hold on, not yet. Hold on. But Nat Turner was the voice like, nah, look, they've been showing us the Bible the wrong way. Let's use it against them
Yep.
like how they use it against us. You know what I'm saying? In Denmark VC, he went around threatening folks like, yo, I'll break your back if you snitch on me.
Ooh, he
You know
sure
what I'm
did.
saying? Yeah, I'll break your back if you snitch on me and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Which is why you didn't have just one. You had that mulatto clan who snitched on him versus just that one. So it was like, yo, you know what? When they create that confusion, they got to separate it. They got us. But they create that 40 years down the line. As for blacks here in America, we're trying to survive through a pandemic. Like, we just like, yo, it's a pandemic. We're trying to get through this pandemic. They're thinking in terms of, yo, we're going to be the mind. We're not even going to exist in 35 years, in 200
Mm.
years. There's not going to be any white folks around. You know what I'm saying? So we've got to think in terms 40, you know what I'm saying? So they create these things and these laws and these policies eons ahead, decades ahead, and then they allow their children and their grandchildren and their great grandchildren to put these things in place.
Facts. That's a fact. You speaking facts right there. You're right, and you're right. The white supremacists they're the masters of confusion. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said it, and Neely Fuller Jr. said they're the masters of confusion. So if you don't know what racism and white supremacy is, everything else will confuse you. So, and a lot of us, I don't think we really know. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of us, we have to start educating ourselves as well as others. That doesn't mean being condescending, but I think it starts with us. And when I mean start with us, I don't mean pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I mean start with us in the mentality of we need to be aware of what's going on. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like we need to have some type of understanding of what's going on. Because when you're dealing with this wicked system, it's crazy. Look, and you're
Yes.
right. You're right. We want. I always say this. We want billionaires to be activists, and we want activists to be billionaires. So if you're
Hmm.
an activist, you can't be. So if you're an activist, we expect you to be a billionaire, but you really better not be a billionaire because if you're a billionaire, you're not going to be allowed to say what you really want to say because you have dealings and ties with the system. If
Right.
you notice, most billionaires, they're not gonna jump out. They're not gonna jump out the window and be like, "Well, racism and white supremacy exists," and such. They're not gonna do that. It's mostly activists that don't have as much to lose. And I think we put this pressure on black athletes and black people that are in positions of I would say monetary power, very little, but monetary gain. We expect them to speak out, but their ties are to the dominant society. So how you
Right.
gonna expect them to speak out? Because you know what I say? Okay, then you go to your job and tell everybody at your job, "Fuck you, you white supremacist," and see how far that gets you. I'm serious. Go tell them that. Go tell them. Go to the job and pull them in the office and say, "Fuck you, you white supremacist motherfucker," and fuck that. And you ain't gonna have a job. But you're not gonna do that. But we do have these high expectations
Mm.
for black people, especially black athletes and entertainers, to just be on this racial concept with us of, hey man, it's black first. Man, they got ties politically and financially to the dominant society. They're not about to speak on your behalf.
Because if you switch places and I told everybody, hey, we're not going to give you any money financially, but I want you to go in the office and tell your white supervisor, fuck you, you racist motherfucker. You know how many black people would tell you, man, you got me fucked up, man. You know how many black people would say, don't you lose your job behind somebody else? But we expect these niggas that are making millions of dollars to give up their lifestyles for us. So you got to do it on a lower level. That's why I don't ever expect or put any type of value of record for a person that's a millionaire or billionaire to speak on our behalf, because they have too many ties with the dominant society financially. That's why most activists, they don't have any financial ties. That's why they're activists. But we got to change that. We have to start putting money into our own shit. And then you will have more people that are like, well, I'm not afraid to lose my job because my people got me. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why it's very different. That's why I have that understanding. I don't ever expect people that are like the vice president of this company or the district manager of that company to be like, yeah, white supremacy. No. First of all, you got to learn how to do business with these people as well. And we don't know how to conduct business. That's one. And two, when it comes to political game, we just want to vote for whoever we like. We don't vote our interests. And people wonder why they picked Kamala Harris, who catered to the East Indians. And then when it was time to run, she wanted to cater to black people listening to Cardi B. Then everybody want to know why Joe Biden wants to talk to Cardi B, but he don't want to talk to an educated foundational black American. Right. See what I'm saying? Like, that's done by design. It's just like the Matrix. We need to understand, point out the ciphers in this system. Remember what Cypher said, I don't care. I want to be rich. I know this isn't real. Once you're dealing with somebody that has admitted, like, oh, I don't care that it's racism, white supremacy. I just want to live comfortable in it. You got to get away from them. Remember in the Haitian Revolution, Mackendall and Dirty Bookman and them was like, we got to kill the coons first. They got to go. Because this isn't going to work, because they're going to be the main ones. Look at Hayward Shepherd. He the one who told on John Brown and them. Because he got a meritorious manumission. You know what I mean? And I'm reading this book right now, my brother. It's called Stolen. And it's about these kids in the antebellum period that were getting kidnapped and sold into slavery. You know, they were in like Pennsylvania and or New Jersey, and they were getting sold into slavery. And guess who was kidnapping them? A brother named John Poland or whatever his name was. He was a black brother. And remember, I was telling you about that book called A Price for a Pound of Flesh, where these white people were digging up graves of black people to do experiments on black people. Well, the white people didn't want to get caught, so they started hiring black people to rob the graves and dig up black people. Wow. And they were stealing bodies, and it was a black brother who took a picture with a dead black body around a bunch of white people because he was the person doing he was the body snatcher. And it was a black dude that was doing that. And I don't think people understand. You're right. This goes back hundreds of years of them having us do their dirty work. This didn't just start 20, 30 years ago. Look at the person who got next to Fred Hampton. He was black. The FBI was infiltrating our organizations with other black people because black people will be co-opted for a price. And everybody be acting like they don't have a price until somebody presents you with money that you ain't never had before. And that's why you see so many people that will put on the dress. And they will do all kinds of things that they shouldn't be doing just to get the money to take care of their family. Right. So I feel like we as a people, we gotta smarten up, understand what education. Just look at the NFL. If we look at the NFL, they gave us Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and all that, and we supposed to be happy. But the NFL has not done nothing for black folk. Your league is 75 to 80% black folk, but y'all ain't done a motherfucking thing for us. But we are happy with the halftime performance. I'll be happy when there is a black owner in the NFL. 3, 4, 5 black owners. When the commissioner is black. When they start calling out racism and white supremacy. I don't need token symbolism. Because we've had that for years. They gave us Obama, and what did he do? Obama didn't do anything for black people. He didn't even say black. He acted like black didn't even exist. And I feel like in today's climate, in terms of what we need to focus on, me personally, the distraction, the hidden hand. We need to focus, to me, on the magic tricks. You know, the David Copperfields and David Blaine's in the world that'll, basically send you on a wild goose chase when really you should be focusing on, hey man, what's up with the reparations? Why is it they need to do a study to give black folk money that they know we built the country for free? But y'all need to do a study for that? It's always these excuses, but everybody else got their money right away. Why is it other white people and other racial groups want to tell us what type of reparations we should get when we built the country for free? Why is that? These are just questions I'm asking. And I want to know, why is that people like Vlad TV thinks he can tell us about what type of reparations we can get when you've made $15 to $20 million off of black content that you remix and sell to us on an everyday basis? No more. I never really liked him anyway like that because I always felt like he was a shit starter. And then and then once a motherfucker call him out, he want to go run to the white Jewish community. But then he said he doesn't pray. He's not a practicing religious person. But this is what the dominant society do. They come amongst us and act like that they are friends. And then when the shit get tough, they get going. I don't need to see Eminem kneeling on the stage with a whole bunch of black people. I need Eminem calling out racism and white supremacy and telling us what is being said when we're not in the room, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing told us. Tell us what's being said when we're not in the room. Don't be taking on me and giving me no symbolism and talking shit about Donald Trump. I don't care about Donald Trump. I want to know who's going to replace this system. And that's the problem. We're so busy worried about what each other got on and what kind of car they drive. They got a nice car. Give them congratulations. Say, man, that's a nice car. Because if you had a nice car, you would want people hating on you. You know what I mean? But we don't have that mentality. We too busy arguing with people over what religion they in. You know what I'm saying? Or if they, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal savior and all this bullshit? But then when it comes to, well, have you read Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson? Oh, man, that's too militant. Too militant? That's your guide to dealing with politics as a black man in the United States of America Incorporated. But we so busy, in my personal perspective, voting for who we like and voting for a dream when really it's a nightmare. Ain't nothing. Look, basketball, football, baseball is the corporate plantation on steroids. These guys are high-priced paid slaves. That's all they are. And if they buck the system, they will Colin Kaepernick your ass. And Colin Kaepernick bowed down gracefully and took his $60 million or whatever he got. And that's why Colin Kaepernick can't really speak the way he want to speak, because then Nike will pull that money they're paying him. So I'm going to ask this again. How many people are willing to go to their jobs and tell them, fuck you, you white supremacists? How many people are willing to put their job on the line for another brother or sister? Because when you're willing to do that, that's when you're willing to elevate your mind and your energy and everybody around you. Until then, we got to stop expecting LeBron James and motherfuckers jumping down Kyrie Irving's neck because he didn't want to take the jab. It's like, okay, he didn't want to take it. Well, I wouldn't mess with 20 million. Well, nigga, you ain't got 20 million. So you can't speak on what he's doing. You don't know what he's doing with his money. Everybody goes, well, I'll just take it. Well, you could have long-lasting effects and your leg can fall out. Well, shit, I'm going to have my 20 million. That's what we thinking about. And I'm like, man, some of these NBA players, man, they act like they got CTE. I ain't never seen so many people attack a brother because he didn't want to take something because of his beliefs. And it's like, damn, you going to question my beliefs? Man, because I could just leave 20 million on the table. Well, nigga, well, what did you do with your 20 million? And then it's so funny how I see it. Even with Paul Pierce, I saw Paul Pierce. He was on ESPN. And then when they fired him because he dancing with a whole bunch of women, then he's like, well, I want to do it. Well, then why did you go work for them in the first place? You knew who they were. You knew that was the devil when you did the deal with them. And then when the devil got tired of you, they released you. I'm just tired of everybody acting like they so pro this and so pro that, when really, keep it in context. I'm pro this, but I will do business with them. Stop acting like you sold this and sold that, and then when they let you go, you're like, well, fuck them anyway. No, we have to understand this is what's going on, man. And I feel like, why is it that we protect the system, and every other racial group can tell us what type of reparations we're supposed to get? Answer me that, my brother.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I used to be like that, man. I used to be one of those who were like, yo, um, why don't the top black celebrities stand up? And I used to put my hope into that, like, man, they should stand up. This is when I was just coming upon my awakening, I'm just knowing self and understanding myself, right? So I used to see it that way too. And then once I started to understand how white supremacy works, and I started to develop black pride within myself, um, then oh, I seen it's always orchestrated, and everything starts from somewhere. Like nothing just happens when you're dealing with white folks. Nothing just happens at a boom. This is all planned. So I used to be one of those, bro, and I used to look at it too, like, yo, yeah. And I was one of those dudes who I voted for. What's this man? The first gay president, Barack Obama. I voted for
Me
him.
too. I voted for him
Yeah,
twice.
I voted for him. I voted for him, but I did it out of emotion. Again, it was emotional. Like, yo, we can have a black president. This is gonna change everything. Um, and so it was out of emotion, bro. A lot of black people, we do things out of emotion, which is not. I wouldn't say it's all bad, but it's definitely not the greatest thing because, see, I can lead you with your emotion. Only thing I have to create is the chaos. Now, when it
Mm.
comes down to it, I started taking a close look, bro, at like the LeBron James and them. And what really kind of got me is when, I think it was Donald Sterling that he was the GM for the Los Angeles Clippers, and they got him on tape, with his little black doll Dunny, saying, talking this crazy nonsense about black folk. But then I looked at the protests from the NBA, like how the players are going to react. Look at their reaction. What are they going to say? What are they going to do? And they really didn't do much. They just took off their jerseys and put it in the middle of the floor, like their warm ups. Like that was their protest. But they still went. They still went and played. So that kind of woke me up. Then I see what was happening with the Colin Kaepernick joint too, and how other football players and was it Reggie Lewis talking about? Yeah, I wasn't on. I was on two knees. At first, he was criticizing Kaepernick, and then he talking about he was on two knees praying for Colin Kaepernick. Say, come on, man, stop it. And you just see how these athletes, how they all just take a turn. And now that I understand it, I understand. I haven't fully mastered it, but I understand how they work. So I can read them. Like, yeah, I see what they're gonna do. History shows this is what you do next, and then they wind up doing it. It's like you just do it
Yes.
on a different level. So you look at like a LeBron and all of them, and they talk a little bit of this nonsense. When Trayvon Martin died, we got our hoodies on. Yeah, okay, but they don't really do much. And then they start talking at black and brown people. So they begin to start reiterating what the Democrats put out. So I said, oh, they pushing an agenda. That's what white supremacy do. But they're using black folks like they've used black folks before. So now, to be honest, bro, I don't put my trust in them to do the right thing when it comes to standing up for black folks, because they're not. They're not. I spoke about this before, bro. With and I lost at least like 9 listeners when I said this. They never listened to me again. I said this on Facebook live, and they unfriend me and all of that. I said, yo,
Wow.
when it comes down to it, when it comes down to it, all these dudes, these LeBron and all these dudes and Chris Paul, they don't really stand for black folks. They stand for the symbolic awards that we want to get. So they stand up and say, HBCUs, we got to fund these HBCUs. But what HBCU you funding? Because most of them is named after white Confederate generals.
Facts.
So how,
Facts.
so yeah, so it's like, and if you're going to fund it, why not fund the Africana studies, or the African American studies, or the African Latino studies, or the African Caribbean studies? Why not fund that? That's the real education we need. We need that in all 9 aspects of activity. You know what I'm saying? We need that in all so you need to fund those areas, but they are not going to do that because that kind of go against it's going to go against what Nike wants, because Nike wants for black and brown and LGBT and all of that stuff. And Under Armour, you know, well Under Armour is like, yeah, Steph, we'll let you put a scripture on it because it paint, it makes us look good, but we're not going to let you put those war scriptures on there. We're not going to do that one now. We're just going to put, the ones that normally keeps the Negroes in check. So you can do that. So these players begin to compromise. Dudes didn't like that. I said, hey, listen, when you take a look at it during the whole pandemic and that whole bubble situation, a perfect example of this is when the Milwaukee Bucks said, we ain't playing. Like it wasn't planned. It was planned amongst them. They did the proper thing. What Malcolm X always said, what Marcus Garvey always said, and what Booker T. Washington always talked about, what John Henrik Clark and all of the others, they said, go behind closed doors and discuss your matters. Do not let these white folks know what you're about to do. You know what I'm saying? I strongly believe that when the Bible says, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, I think it's talking about don't let these white folks know what you're about to do. And don't let these black folks who stand for these white folks know what you're about to do. Like, don't let them know, because as soon as you let them know, now they can they can't catch you. You can't catch them off guard. And that's the best way of winning a war. You gotta catch them off guard. And so it's like, yo, man, they decided, yo, we're not gonna play. LeBron said, absolutely not. You can't do that. Nope, you do not do that. We gotta have a players meeting. Him and Chris Paul had a players meeting. Next thing you know, Milwaukee Bucks walk out talking about, yeah, we ready to play. We're gonna play. It's like, LeBron, Chris Paul, what y'all said? That's not getting enough emphasis, because Kyrie Irving was in the room like, nah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's ride. And they was like, So Kyrie Irving said, you know what? I'm gonna go around and get signatures from the players, but I'm gonna get them anonymously. More than half of the league did not want to play for that little bubbles era right there. They did not want to play. But LeBron is the one that overrode it and made them play. You know what I'm saying? He did the owner's dirty work. So therefore, they didn't really, again, the white supremacists is great at creating confusion. They allowed this one Negro to get through because they know he holds the power to these little masses right here. And so he talked to them, he set them straight, then you can set the mass of the people straight. Now the rest of the people who was ready to revolt, who was ready to boycott the NBA, to boycott sports, period. They was about to turn this upside down. And then you have folks talking about Bob Black and all of that. That stuff was about to be, he said, absolutely not. We can't do that. We can't. Now they playing. And then what they stand for, black and brown people. Now it's black and brown people. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, one of those things where I took a look at, I said, dag, yo, you really can't put your faith and hope in these celebrities, man. And like I said, I gotta admit, I used to be like that. I'm not like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? I look at it, we gotta have a Marcus Garvey mindset, which is we gotta do for our own nation, period. Right here. Right here, right now. We got to do it right now. There's no better time than to do it. But again, you have these, what Tariq Nasheed, he calls them tethers, right? We have these guys who are just in the background. We have these guys who are in the background waiting, these house Negroes who are waiting to say, no way, no. And if we still to follow through with the revolution, they're gonna say, ooh, I'm telling massa, and they go back and tell and spoil our, spoil our revolution. So what I say is, yo, I definitely we have to start this on our own, the masses of the people. You know what I'm saying? We don't if we continue to look for a leader within these celebrities, it's not going to happen. The only thing they're leading us down a road of destruction. They even have, I'm a real I'm real critical of the NBA. Like, I'm critical of sports, but I pretty much watch the NBA like when one team play. I don't really even watch the NBA too much like that. You know what I'm saying? Like how I used to. And I'm looking at the NBA and I'm saying, yo, look at them with these vaccine commercials, talking about go get vaccinated. We all need to be safe. And but what they're showing is they're showing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they're showing Oscar, they're showing black people getting vaccinated, and then they're telling us we got to keep the world safe. Go get vaccinated. They're actually hypnotizing the masses through imagery and entertainment. They know exactly what they're doing. No commercial just comes on for no reason. They got to market it. They got to fund it. They got to get the people who's going to play in it. They know exactly what they're going to do. So I think, man, when it all comes down to it, this is just something that we have to do ourselves. Like we have to do it. The black folks that have the same mindset, and the black folks that have the same mindset, we have to band together and get as many in the pack as we can that have the same mindset. You know what I'm saying? And we need a bunch of radicals. We need a bunch of radicals. So therefore, white supremacy can't look at it and say, well, you know what? Warren is the head of that group. So if we just chop Warren down, we take away his assets, his living, his rent. We just make his life a living hell. We either drive him into exile, we drive him into suicide, or if we just kill him, God forbid, if we just take him out ourselves, then the rest of the people just scatter. You see what I'm saying? So what we would have to do is like what I know you spoke about Duddy Bookman and Malkadal and Dessalines and them, what they did, and especially Duddy Bookman's mother. When you take a look at her, they say, yo, who's the leader? They said the revolution is the leader. Who's the leader? The liberation is. What religion we gonna practice? Our old spirit, the original. What original? Y'all know what we talking about. Stop playing like you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where we have to take the pages out of the revolutions that happened in Jamaica and Haiti, bro. We got to take those revolutions that either were successful or almost like really close to being successful. We got to take a page out of their book, and when we do, we notice there was no like one. Like Duddy Bookman, definitely he was one, but Duddy Bookman prepared the people like, yo, if I get captured, you know what to do. Keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Mackendall was like, yo, I got one arm. You know what I'm saying? But you know what to do. You know, if I get captured, you know what to do. Dessalines was like, yo, you know what, we had the revolution, we had the radicals, but politically we wasn't really set up properly. So he made a lot of, he made some compromises and others he didn't, but he still set that up politically. Politically he did. So it was like, yo, each one of those guys had a big hand in it, but they relied on the masses of the people. The same thing happened like with Queen Nanny over there in Jamaica. We just got to take those examples. And of course, Nat Turner and Denmark Vesey. You know what I'm saying? We got to take those examples and say, yo, if we put too much attention on one leader, they're going to chop him down. So we got to allow the liberation to be the leader. And that's what we follow. So we take the word liberation, we plant that joint on top of a balcony or something, and that's what we look towards. We don't look towards Mackendall to get us out. We look towards liberation. So that means we all continue, but we got to stay in unison. I think we got to do that, brother.
Man, look, I appreciate you. I appreciate my brother Kimario coming on too. I know you East Coast, so you like 3-4 hours ahead of me, man. But we gotta do this again, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I think people need to hear your perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like I know my sister. Some people they didn't already subscribe to your channel, but